Hello everyone, this is Chad, and welcome to our fourth iLogic tutorial that I'm doing for Academatic.com. In this tutorial we're going to create some iLogic rules that push parameters back to the individual parts and allow us to control the size and the shape of the assembly from the top level. So what we're going to do now is we're going to fire up this DIMS rule that I had created, and inside this rule, you can see that we created a couple rules to calculate our shelf height and our shelf spacing. I'm going to hit enter a couple times. I like to leave some white space around some of these things, and I separate them with white space. White space refers to just a couple of empty lines, so you can break things up a little bit. Now, what we want to do is we want to always push back the cabinet height and the depth and the width and that to the appropriate parts. So what we're going to do here is in this browser, you saw where we clicked on user parameters and we could access the parameters that we had created in our assembly. Well, we can do the same thing for the parts. As you can see in the browser, we have our assembly, but we also have our parts. One of the important things that we want to remember is that, or we want to think about, is that in the course of automating some of this stuff and using iLogic, we're going to swap parts in and out possibly and move things around. And what Inventor does is when you bring a part in, it takes the file name and it gives it a designation of :1, and like for side, you can see that I have two of them. It gives me :1 and :2. Top 1 becomes :1, and it just uses that as the naming convention. Now what will happen if I write a rule and I come over here and I double click on this and I say I want to write a rule for the case height, for the bookcase height for the side 1, and I double click on there, it's going to say parameter side :1. Now what will happen is, and we'll say it equals whatever, what's going to happen if I change that part to a different side piece, if I maybe have a different configuration, it'll change the name of that part to side B :1, and then this rule will break because it was called side 1. So we need to do something to make sure that the names of the parts are always the same. Luckily for us, Inventor does have a way to do that. What we need to do is we need to rename our part names. Once we bring a part in and we rename that thing, it will always be called whatever we rename it, no matter what part we replace it with inside of this assembly file. So I'm just going to call this case side. Actually, I am in the habit of numbering, so I'm going to call it case side 1, and I'm going to have case side 2. And then we're going to have top, or case top. We'll have case base 1. Again, it doesn't, as long as you know what the names are, that's really all that matters. Okay? And I have a pattern here. I also like to name my pattern, so this is going to be the shelf pattern. Alright, and then inside of here we have base shelf, and I'm just going to call that case shelf 1. Okay? Alright. So we've renamed our stuff. Now when I come back to my rule, up here you're going to see that they're called these things. So instead of being called what they were, now I can come down and I can say case side 1, and I'm going to go to my user parameters, and I'm going to say case height. I didn't want it to go there, I wanted it down farther. So I can simply just drag this down and it'll come down here. So I'm going to put comments in here too. Now comments are important so that you remember what you were doing, and you know if somebody else goes and looks at your code, you know what's happening. So we're going to set the side parameters. Alright, we're going to say that case side 1 side height, and we're going to say that it equals, obviously, case height. Now you can see that the user parameters that I use inside of the assembly, the ones that are local to this assembly, are all turning blue. And then the ones that are outside of this assembly, they turn a different, well, string text turns like a teal color, but they're being called, you can see here that parameter from case side 1, case height. So it's saying that this part has a parameter called case height, and it's going to equal case height, which is the parameter, the blue parameter from inside this assembly. we're also going to have case width. No, we're not. I apologize. That was we're going to have depth. So we're going to have depth, and depth is going to equal the user parameter case depth here. And then we're also going to have one last, and that's going to be the board thickness. And we can control the board thickness from here as well, and that's going to be the case wall thickness. So I've just set the three parameters there to equal those, and now we're going to set the top parameters. Now I don't have to do this to side 2 because these are the same part. Okay, they're named differently, but they are the same part, so it's just going to be the same thing. So I don't have to do it to the second one, but I do have to go into the top now, and I have to say width, and I'm going to say equals case width and case depth. Thickness. Now we're going to set the, and by the way, with these comments, what it is this apostrophe tells iLogic to ignore everything on this line after the apostrophe. So I can type whatever I want here and it won't do anything. We're going to set the base parameters. Again, I only have to do it in the one place. Sometimes I like to, instead of going back and forth, I can say case width. I'll hit enter. I will say base height. And board thickness I'm going to leave B because I'm setting that inside the part. Because I do have that smaller and whatnot. Side thickness, we need that because that's telling it how much to subtract. And then base length is a calculated field, so I don't have to do that. So now I can come back, I can just equals, and we got case width. And for base height, we've got our base height right here. And I'm going to tell it that side thickness is the case wall thickness. Alright, so now we got the shelf left. And we are going to find our shelf. We have to dig through our pattern that we made, but we'll dig down, drill down far enough, you will find it. We have case width, we're going to have case depth, we're going to have board thickness. Now shelf length will be calculated on its own, and we're going to say equals, and of course back to our piece here, depth, and equals wall thickness. So there, we've created a rules that go ahead and set all those, push those parameters back into the individual parts. So from here now, I can update. Now we didn't change any parameters yet. I can make this a little smaller so that you can see this, and hopefully we'll be able to, I'll change the width right now to 60. And I'm going to hit done. It looks like we're going to have to actually hit the update button. Okay. So I hit update, and you can see that my bookcase just extended to 60 inches. I did have to update. Now there's something we can do there. We can put in our iLogic rule. We can go down to the bottom of our rule, and inside the document snippets, there is an update when done rule. So basically what this will do is this will run the update for us once the rule has run. So now when I hit parameters and I change this to 36, it will automatically change that bookcase width to 36. Now you notice all the parts changed automatically, and that works really well. One of the other things I like to do, and we talked about this last time or in the first tutorial, was forms. So I'm going to add a form, and in this form I'm going to put in the things that I want to use to control this bookcase. Obviously we've got the case width. I just drag that parameter right into the little window over here, and you can see in my form I have case width popped in. I've got case height, and we've got depth, right? I'm also going to have a base height. I want to be able to control that. We're going to have a shelf quantity, and that's really all we need for this particular this particular bookcase at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that visual style because I like to. Oh wait, I want to get the form. Visual style. I'm going to change it to my dark color because I like that. And I'm going to hit OK for now. So now we can come in here and we can, instead of having to open up that big parameters window, now I can change this to 42, hit enter, and that's going to change. I can change my height to 38, and you'll see my shelves respace themselves. Everything's cool. I can change my shelf quantity to 4, and I'm getting 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 shelves, and 5 including the top. You know, if I wanted to change it to 2, I can change it to 2. So you have a lot of control. We can change the depth to 18. We can get a nice deep shelf. We can make it, like I said, 60 inches. You know, you get something maybe if you want to build something, a start of a TV stand or something different. You know, maybe you want it to be 24. You know, so you've got a lot of control over here with this. Something else that we can do that's kind of fun, we can edit our form, and we can change our form name to configuration, or to config. I like to call it config. If I want to control the shelf quantity by, I want to change that shelf quantity to a text box, I can change it to a slider. Okay, so we'll change shelf quantity to a slider bar, and from here I will tell it that my minimum value is 2. We'll say the minimum value is 2, and we're going to say the maximum value is 6, and the step size is 1. That means it's going to increase from 2 to 6 in increments of 1. So I'll hit OK. Now when I hit the config, I've got a slider here, and I can change my shelf quantity just by sliding this over. You know, and we want to change our height to back up to 38. You know, and we're going to slide down to 3 shelves. We're going to hit done. And there's some little things with iLogic. We got a top-down design now. We got a bookcase that we can control from the top. Change the shelf quantity. We can change the dimensions of the bookcase and all that. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I do plan to do more with the bookcase in the future. I want to add some columns, maybe make some different shelf configurations to the whole thing on 2 different sides or something. But we'll see where we go from here. I do plan to do some more tutorials, and I will see you then. Thanks.